I love it. It's fun. Well, let's get started. Number one, today we're going to talk about, of course, in our series, the art of SEO sales. We're talking about how to overcome objections and close the deal. I'm going to share my screen really briefly and we'll get started there. All righty, Gus, you're able to see my screen?
Sure am.
I love it. Now, let's present and talk to you about who is Gus. Now, Gus, usually we have you speak and you present yourself. But guess what? It's going to be my pleasure to do it. I've known Gus now since 2014. We did the hours. Gus and I did a training in the UK this last month, and we did the amount of hours that he has spent selling SEO specifically. And it is over 18,000 hours of selling Boostability's SEO product. Gus is over our sales support team where our partners can call and introduce his team as their own. They will go through a discovery, education, and recommending a budget and ultimately help our partners sell the product that we've got. And now Gus is an amazing person to work with. He's an absolute sweetheart. He's a father of twins. It's cool to hear the funny stories of him and his family, along with he loves podcasts, specifically history podcasts. He's outdoorsy. I would say he's an amazing person. Another interesting fact is if Gus was a mushroom, not only would he be a fun guy, he'd be Fun Gus. Which I think is so great. Love you, Gus. Uh, Today, what we're going to do is the way we're going to present this is I'm going to have a question, a general objection that we have on the SEO side, and Gus is going to go through it. So the first question that we've got is cost, it's too expensive, right? Or we just don't have the budget for it. Gus, how would you respond to that?
Yeah, so starting off with the big scary question, the budget objection. Yeah, so when someone comes up with a budget objection, first I'm going to actually plan for a budget objection on every single call. The reason being, when I'm going through discovery and I'm speaking with clients, I'm talking about all their business goals, what they're looking to achieve, how they want to grow. And oftentimes they're going to have huge goals that are really expensive to achieve. And they're not in a position to hit all those goals right out the gate. So I'm going to tell that client at the end of the call, hey, this is what it's going to take to achieve all of those goals. And almost every single time, they're not in a position to be able to actually invest that much money into achieving all of those goals. It's a growing process,
Yeah,
and they can't put that much into it. So I'm going to expect them to object to that budget right out the gate. Um,
really.
and and then we're going to walk it down and we're going to figure out where their budget actually lies, and what types of goals are achievable at that time. And then we can expand into those bigger goals and go after bigger budgets. So that's usually going to be the first assessment. But if we get to that point that I feel like this is the budget that's going to work for the client, this is where we really should be at, and then the client has a budget concern, then we need to ask, is this just scary but it's doable, or is this just not doable
Okay.
whatsoever?
Okay. I like that. And as a quick recap, your thought process is before we go into the call, I'm going to analyze the customer's website. I'm already going to know exactly what the perfect package is for this customer. And then I'm going to plan on if this customer does not have that budget available, I will right size it and try and help as much as I can to that budget. Now, in the SEO world, I think it's also important to just state the budget. Google doesn't care about your budget. Your competition that is out there, they don't care. If you're a plumber and you have 30 plumbers next to you, just because you've got $10 a month, it doesn't mean you're going to get on the first page. We also need to set the right expectations saying, guess what? You're going to actually have to work to do it. So it's not just this one and done. You have to make sure that we're setting the right expectations from the beginning.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. Now, guys, let's get on to the next question. The next question is time. SEO takes too long, right? Like I've had partners who are just like, hey, I need this now. Let's
Yeah.
do this. Takes too long to show results. How do you set the expectation on that one?
Yeah, so as far as seeing results, I look at this in two different ways that I hear this objection from prospects. One is it takes too long to see results. It's too long to see anything, to see any type of progress with SEO, because SEO can take 6 to 9 months to actually get onto the first page where you actually start to see a return on your investment, that you're actually seeing leads come in. Um, but you shouldn't have to wait 6 to 9 months to actually see some progress, see some results, see your keywords moving up in rankings, and see growth, see that the SEO is actually over time going to be able to hit those goals. But as far as return on investment and starting to see some leads come in, you should plan on SEO taking 6 to 9 months.
Oh,
So a
I've
good thing. Oh,
sorry.
sorry. Yeah. So a good thing with us is when I'm speaking with a prospect, we're very transparent. We're able to show them every single task that's being completed, what they're paying for, where their investment's going, and then they can see the progress along the way. So although they're not going to see those new leads come in, or they shouldn't expect to see new leads come in for those first 6 to 9 months, even in month 3, they're going to see, hey, this is what I've paid for. This is the quality of work they've done. And yeah, I'm not on the first page yet, but we moved from, page 10 of the search results to maybe page 8 or page 5. We're actually seeing progress. And if we keep it up, we should be able to see those results we're looking for.
You're correct, right? I love the way that you've said that. Setting the expectation in the SEO world is one of the most important things. SEO is not cosmetic surgery. You're not just going to come out with this beautiful body. It is like going, I'm not a good example. You're a good example of this. You got to go to the gym and invest time. You can't go to the gym for 1 month and then expect, boom, I'm going to get the results that is there. Often when I have this objection, I like to, at the beginning of every SEO conversation, I will ask, when's the last time you used SEO? When's the last time you searched for the service that you provided? That you provide. Once we've done that, I've established, okay, there's a need. Once I've established that need, I then revert back to it saying, yeah, it's going to take time. In order to get to the first page, we need to make sure that we invest the time to get there. But there's actual value because of how many people are actually looking for the services that you provide.
Yeah.
Love it. Thank you, Gus. Let's look at the next question. The next question is about skepticism. Does SEO really work? I've tried it before with no success. How would you respond to that?
Yeah, so I think that you need to isolate that down a
Okay.
little bit, because does SEO work? Like, we want to get that out of the way. Like you had just barely mentioned, if you show up on the first page of Google when someone's looking for a plumber and someone goes to Google, they search for plumber near me, is that person likely going to give you a phone call if they find you? So showing up on the first page of Google, is that actually going to lead to new leads and generate more clientele for me? And I think that's pretty obvious that if you're showing up on the first page of Google, it's going to lead to more leads for you. You should expect to. So I'd like to make sure that that's not the issue that we're talking about. Now, if someone has tried SEO in the past, they've had bad results, and that's why they're skeptical, then we need to figure out, okay, well, what happened with that other company? What were they actually doing for you? And oftentimes they're not going to know what the other company was doing for them. So by being able to show them, hey, here's what we'll actually do for you. Here's what we've done for other customers. Here's our success records. Here's the transparency behind our programs. That alleviates a lot of the stress and concerns that a customer might see when they've been burned in the past.
Yeah. It all comes down to, and you're going to notice a trend as we're discussing this. It's all setting the right expectations, right? If you set the wrong expectations, you end up with a grumpy customer and it ruins it for everybody else that they're going to be dating in the SEO world, right?
Yeah.
And it's just tough. I hate the idea of another SEO company setting the wrong expectations. And then you have these, I tried it before and it didn't work. But because we didn't set the stage, we didn't explain to them it's going to take time, or this is how you're tracking your results. they're not going to really understand SEO. And then these crazy questions come up that you really can't figure out. Now, I'm aware of there's a question that just came up from Martin. I want to make sure that I answer that. Question is, do you include a white label portal for our clients to log in to be able to view their SEO metrics? Martin, absolutely. That's one of the most important things that we do is show a transparent reporting dashboard that is fully white labeled that gives you the ability to answer three questions. What are you doing for me? How is it benefiting me? And what am I getting out of it? We have a keywords tab where you can track where the customer started, where they're currently at, and their growth that they've got. When they get into the first page, we take a screenshot. The next portion is we show the history of the work that we've completed. I always say this and it sounds so ridiculous, but the average SEO client today is 10 times smarter than they were 4 or 5 years ago. The SEO clients that we've got now are like those angry math teachers that we had in high school. What do they say? Show your work. How'd you get this answer? We have a history tab that breaks down every task. So we can say, this is everything we've done for you. And then we have a Google Analytics tab that shows the growth of the traffic that you're receiving. So we want to make sure that our partners and our customers can answer all of those questions where they're doing it. I love, love, love that question. Now, the next question that we've got for you, Gus, is a lack of understanding, right? We don't understand what SEO is and how it works. Now, before you get started, I want to say one of my favorite ways to define SEO. SEO is the work that goes into your website to build relevance and trust so that it gets on the first page of Google. Now, I emphasize something: work, relevance, and trust. Work, it's not just the click of a button. It's not, the cosmetic surgery of the internet. It is, we're going to have to put actual man hours work into your website to make it so that Google recognizes it and gets it on the first page. Now, Gus, Google Master, what would you put relevance? What would you put trust? Explain that to me.
Yeah, so relevance is on-site optimization. So that's the work that goes into your website itself and the background coding of the site and the content of the site, and it helps Google kind of categorize your site and see what types of keywords you're a potential resource for. So if you want to show up for a certain word, you save that word in the right lines of coding of your site, formatted properly, and that typically puts you somewhere in the rankings. Might be page 5 or 10, but helps Google know I want to rank for these keywords. Trust is the offsite optimization, and that's kind of like your online reputation. It's what other websites are saying about your site, how often you're being mentioned, and it's mostly your backlink portfolio. I don't want to go into this too much, but
I
it's
like it.
the number of, or it's credible websites that have relevant content with a link from their site pointing to your site. And that link acts like a referral, helps Google trust you more, builds up trust, and moves you up higher in rankings. There are other factors that go into it, but really it boils down to relevance, gets you on the list, and then trust is going to move you up that list and make you a better resource.
I like it. And the way that I'm thinking, this kind of is a perfect segue into the next question, but it's saying we've got this ability to build relevance and trust. So we're doing this work, and then we're having that go back to the website. Google goes onto those links. They then go onto the website. They're going back and forth, back and forth. This is the reason why it takes time. Google goes to the link, they go to your website that's organized. We've built that relevance. And then they've got to compare you to your peers, and then your rank will change. And we do that over and over and over. And that is how you appear on the first page. Okay. Now, the next question that we've got, Gus, is in-house capabilities. We can do it ourselves, or we already have an in-house team. What's the benefit of working with you, right? So let's say if I'm a plumber, I'm like, dude, my nephew, he will kill it. He's so good. Why would I work with you instead of my nephew?
Yeah, exactly. And then so with most SEO providers, or with a lot of SEO providers, you're paying for a templated program that includes A, B, C, and D, and you're going to pay for A and B whether or not you need it. You're going to pay for their whole package program. And if you had an internal team and then you're paying for this program, you're going to pay for a lot of work that's not actually going that they're not actually going to do, because
Yeah.
you have your internal team taking care of those tasks. When you work with a company like Boostability, they're able to customize their campaign based on your resources and what you actually need. So if you have a team that can operate with certain aspects of SEO, then we can supplement that work, or we can work around that to give them the best possible results. So that's the first benefit to it, is we can work in tandem with that team
I like it.
to help them out. Another thing is an internal team is not going to have the best third-party software tools, internal software tools, or just the sheer number of clientele to actually have the data set needed to track Google's algorithm updates.
Oh,
And you probably know more about the actual numbers than me, but we're tracking millions of different keywords,
almost
and
7 million.
almost 7 million keywords. So if we see a bunch of keywords move up in rankings all of a sudden, and then some keywords move down, we can quickly assess what's the difference between those two groups, what kind of updates Google's made, and make those changes accordingly. And if you operate, even if you had 10 clients, you're not going to have that data set to be able to see what Google's changed with their
Yeah.
algorithm. So
And
huge advantage.
you're often like my nephew, right? That example, you're depending on that individual's knowledge of what's happening, right? And often because they don't have enough clients or the amount of keywords to track, right? We
Mhm.
then they then have to depend on blogs going out, articles, whatever it may be, tweets if you're still learning that way, right?
People talk on Reddit about this
Right?
type of stuff,
It's
and
more opinions than
yeah.
actual things. And one of the things that I love, if you look at one of our most recent blog posts, was just with this Google algorithm leak, a lot of things that we were doing were confirmed. We understand what we should be doing, the relevance and trust, the backlink portfolio that you were speaking to, and the variety of links pointing back to a customer's website. All of those things that working with a company that really understands what's happening in SEO, that's the value. So when a customer or somebody saying, "Well, I've got my brother or my cousin that could help me," you need to say, "Guess what? I think that's great. We can work in tandem." And just being part of our system, you've got all of the other announcements and tools and craziness that we understand at a regular basis. So I love that. And thank you so much for that. Let's talk about the next question. All right. Previous bad experiences. We've been burned by an agency before. Gus, this is the typical bad girlfriend conversation that we have. It's one of the most difficult objections, but it really comes down to what?
Um, yeah, so we kind of touched on this before, but really when I hear this on the phone, if a potential client tells me that they've been burnt in the past from SEO, well, they're already on the phone with me for a reason. We're having an SEO conversation. So that's something I don't see it as much of an objection in most cases when I hear this. I hear this as a person opening up to me about their grievances and giving
Yeah.
me their concerns. And I'm able to, it's my job at that point to put them at ease, to show them why this is going to be different, why I'm not like the ex-boyfriend and you.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I need to show them the differences, our reporting dashboards, our success records, what quality we can do, and just really reassure them that this is going to be a different
Yeah.
experience for them. Yeah.
It's validating. Hey, I hear you, and
Mhm.
this is how we're going to be different. I love that idea of rather than getting this anxious, like, oh, what do I do in this situation? I'm going to embrace these objections and I'm going to prepare for it and I'm going to be ready to speak to it. One of the things that I love the most, I mean, I've worked for Boostability for 12 years now. I've traveled around the world. I've lived in another country where, they say and eat weird things in Australia. But it's easy to sell a product that you believe in. And Gus, you and I have had to lean on the Boostability product, and it's easy to sell because we actually achieve the results that customer need. So it's really fun and cool to see that. So next question is, they have a preference for PPC, right? We prefer immediate results from PPC. Uh, what are your thoughts here? I know I've got my opinion on it. I want to hear what you say, and then I'll give you mine.
Yeah, so I actually think that PPC can be good for a lot of businesses. Like the benefits to PPC is it's really fast.
Yeah.
You can pay Google right away and get some exposure, show up there on the top of their sponsored listing section right away. The downside with PPC is majority of humans don't like to click on ads. So they skip over those ads and they go straight to the organic search results. So you're getting this very small piece of the pie. But you still have that exposure there. Also, you're paying a per click amount to show up there, regardless of who or what clicks on your ad. Anytime that someone clicks on it, whether it's a software program, competitor, potential client, you get
Somebody in
charged.
Russia.
Yeah, you get charged a certain amount, and that can blow through your budget pretty quickly without actually getting new prospects to your website. And once you run out of that budget spend allowance, if you didn't make a return on investment, you lost money at
Yeah.
that point. With SEO, it takes longer. You have to build that trust up with Google, and it's going to take those like 6 to 9 months to really climb up there and prove to Google why you're a good resource. But then once you're up there 24/7. You're not getting charged anytime someone clicks on it. A competitor could click on your link over and over again, and it's not going to do
I've
any
never done
difference.
that.
so, so it's yeah, so it's almost like renting versus owning, that
Yep.
you can rent a property, and once you stop paying for it, everything's gone at that point. Or you can build equity to your website and own that property, and you're going to have to maintain it, but at the same time, it's going to be yours, and will build value over time.
I love it. If we were to put some numbers behind this, for years we've said about 84% of people are going to click in the organic section. 84% is insane. That is an answer there. That means that 16% would be clicking on the PPC. In my opinion, you should have a varied approach where you put a certain amount of budget into the PPC and then a larger amount into the organic section until you're literally ranking for everything. One of the most recent numbers that I've heard, and there's differing sources, but 1% of people are clicking on PPC in today's world. So it is a very simple thing. We need to be ranking on SEO, and you need to have a varied approach. You need to be on your socials, you need to be on organic, and you need to make sure that you are in PPC. You should do both. All right, Gus. This question is concern about black hat techniques. We don't want to risk getting penalized by Google. One of my favorite sayings that I've said for a long time, and I'm sure you sit next to me and you get annoyed,
Yeah, this is
but
your question.
yes, but it is search engine optimization, not search engine manipulation. Period. If you're doing it right, you're not going to get penalized. So we're not going to make changes to your website to manipulate it so that Google will get you to rank for a certain thing. The most important thing is we want to make it so that if you provide a service in a specific area, you're ranking for it. If you're trying to rank for a specific product, we get you ranking for it. But the second that we try and say, okay, I want to rank for this outside town that's like 30 miles away, but there's more people. No, that's not how it works. We want to make it to where when Google gets you to rank, it's for the services you provide, where you're located, and how it is. If you want to go for that extra location, we can do that. Get an address. That's how we do it. There's no manipulation. I don't know another way of saying that. We're going to do it right the first time. You're going to have transparency to see everything that's going on there, and we'll get you on the first page.
Yep. We're not trying to trick Google. We're
No,
trying to help them find the best answers when someone
exactly.
asks them a question. Yeah.
I agree completely. Sorry I took that one from you, Gus. I know
No.
you really care, but let's go on to the next question. The next question is, our website is already ranking well, and we're happy with our current traffic. How do you resolve that one?
Yeah, so if someone already has a stable lead source, they're getting more leads than they could possibly take on. And they're happy with everything that's going on with their business at that point. They couldn't handle any more customers, then SEO might not be the best resource for someone in that situation. Now, there's something to say that maybe planning for hard times during the good times is smart to build up some credibility and to have some safety nets and build up some visibility online. That still might be a resource. But really, if you're getting so much business that you can't take any more, probably don't need to do any form of marketing at that point. In reality, when someone says that, that's probably not honestly the case. I like to look at it kind of like your market share is a pie, and these customers have a slice of pie, and they're very content with that slice of pie. But that's when you might want to ask them questions about, well, what if we gave you a bigger slice of that pie? What if we focused on these services to show up? What if we targeted these types of products and made it so you had more customers or inquiries about that? And oftentimes when you ask those types of questions, people will open up and say, well, I didn't even realize that that was an opportunity. I didn't realize that we could do that. So.
You're right. I think it's crazy, right? The amount of people who think, you know what, I've got it, I've got enough. But as soon as an algorithm update hits, or they changed their website from this CMS to this CMS and their ranking went down, they're like, oh man, I should have been ranking for all of the services that I provide. So Gus, when you're doing your preparation, I've seen you will look at all of the services that they provide. And when you go into that conversation with the customer, you already know this customer is ranking for the following things. These are where they've dropped in rankings. These are ones that they should be ranking for. So if their primary keyword they're ranking for, that's perfectly fine. Secondary and tertiary keywords we need to look at and get them ranking for as well. Gus, this has been an amazing webinar. This has been great to hear. You're going to be joining us on our next webinar. That will be on July 30th at 11 a.m. MT. That stands for Mountain Time. The Art of SEO Sales, how to do an SEO audit webinar. Gus is going to go through how to identify pain points on a step-by-step SEO audit on a couple of accounts, and how to use those pain points to build a proposal. That way, when you go into that conversation, you're prepared for all of these objections. You know, if the customer comes and says, what about this, that, and the other, you've got the information in front of you to make sure that you're taken care of. Thank you so much for this opportunity to speak, Gus. It's been amazing. You have yourself an amazing day.
Thanks, Nick. See ya.